Bit of advice here. On your engine, no matter what kind of engine it is, you're going to find a little cap on the top. It's going to say engine oil. It's going to show the universal symbol for the little oil can there. You want to open that up. And one more piece of equipment that I forgot to mention is the funnel. You put your funnel in there, and then you just pour in a little bit of oil, like I said, and that'll sweep the residue at the bottom. Then we can put the bolt back in, and then we'll go to the oil filter next. Alright, so I like to let it drain until it's just dripping one drop at a time. At that point, it's just a matter of screwing in the drain bolt and then just giving it a little bit of a turn, and it's snug, and you're done. So we got it started. Put it in there till it's snug, finger tight. Put your wrench on. I always like to use a box end wrench. This is a ratcheting wrench, but you can use just a regular wrench if you want. And it's there, just a little bit more. That's all you need. Okay, so now we got to find the oil filter. Easiest way to find the oil filter is to look at the new one. So this is what it looks like. And you're going to look on the engine, and you're going to check both the right and the left side of the block. Now, if you look at the block on the Lexus here, it's a 6-cylinder inline 6. Right there, you don't see anything. It's possible it could be underneath, but let's look at the other side real quick. Okay? And lo and behold, there it is. Now, one of the pet peeves I have with the manufacturer of most of these engines is the minute you unscrew that, you're going to get an oil gush. It's going to leak. It's going to go down the side of the block, and that's why you have to reposition that drain pan. The problem is it's going to drip all over your block, and once it does that, your car's going to smoke and smell a little bit. So what I like to do is I'll stuff some rags or paper towels right underneath here where I know that the seal is. So when it does break, the first thing it does is most of it will get absorbed by those rags, but still have the backup, the pan underneath it. And you can see I've got my pan down there, but I'm going to reposition it. So let's reposition the pan and put some rags in. Okay, so I've got some paper towels underneath the oil filter. One of the things that I wish the car manufacturers would do would be to put the oil filter so that when you loosen it up, it doesn't drip on the frame and it doesn't drip on the engine or anything else. But until they do that, you're going to have a little bit of a mess on your hands. So I put this oil filter on, and this is my left hand. I'm right-handed. You can see it comes out pretty easily. And you're going to see some oil start to drip out. There you go. There's the oil, and hopefully it goes down to the pan because we're making our mess. Now, there goes my oil filter, and you can see it's kind of lodged itself there. It's still dripping in the pan, and that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to screw the new oil filter in before I try to take that old oil filter out. So you're seeing this real time. This is not staged or anything. Here's my new oil filter. So I'm just going to touch the rag, get a little bit of oil on it, and you're going to put it on this seal. It's kind of difficult to do it with one hand, so I have to do it again, get some more oil there on my finger, and put that all the way around on the seal. You don't want a dry seal. You want it to be moist with oil, and that way it makes a good contact against the block and also seals it. And again, 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. I think it might even say that on the oil filter itself somewhere. There we go. They say 3/4 to 1. I don't like to over tighten it. You'll get the feel for your car. You can see it goes in relatively easy. Fran puts a little grip here on the bottom. It spins, and you saw it stop. So from there, we're going to go, that's 1/4 and 1/2. That's all it needs. It doesn't need 3/4 to 1. Let's pull this rag out. Wiping off my power steering box here. The rack. And we're going to deposit this for now. We'll put it into the oil filter box. Now comes the tricky part. I've got to take that oil filter out. You can try it from the bottom, but it's designed to come out from the top. So just get a good grip, and if you're wearing gloves, be careful, because if you snag it on something, it'll be so slippery it'll come right out of your hands. And there it is. Make sure you store it up. If you look into this oil filter, and I'll show you, you can actually see that it's still filled with oil. That's the other thing. When you start your car, initially after an oil change, your oil filter is going to be dry. So don't just start it and start revving it. Start it up and let it idle a little bit. There should be some residual oil on the bearing, so you should be okay. You don't have to prime it or anything like that, but just don't rev it when you first start it. And all I'm doing now is cleaning the mess up from this oil filter change. And now all we have to do is add oil and check the dipstick, and that's it for an oil change. A couple more tips. When you before you throw your oil filter away, make sure you pour it, the old oil, into the pan there. And once you've added your oil, you want to give it a few minutes to sink down. Then you're going to pull your dipstick out and you're going to check for the oil level. Now, because it's brand new, it's going to be a little harder to see. But if you see here, we're about halfway up. That's actually sufficient. That's right in the middle. But I like to top it off because this car will use about a quart of oil between oil changes. That's not unusual because oil gets burned. It uses a lubricant, and the pistons go up and down millions of times between oil changes. So it's not unusual. The other thing is what to do with your old oil. If you've never changed your oil before, you probably don't know this, but any auto parts store has an oil recycling bin in the back. It's a big tank. They allow you to bring your old oil in, pour it into their tank, and they'll send it out for recycling. So, you know, you save the earth and all that good stuff. Basically, you want to pour this. I like to use these 5-quart jugs because when I'm done, I can take that and pour it right back in this and take this down and recycle it. So it's a lot neater than doing 5-quart bottles. And then I get a container to take with me back to the auto parts store. So I'm going to button this up, and that's how easy it is to change your oil. Now, if you do this consistently, if you do it once, it's not worth your time. If you're going to start doing this on a regular basis, then you're going to save a lot of money because you can buy a quart of oil or a jug of oil like this and an oil filter for under $20 on sale. Sometimes they're as low as $11 or $12 on sale. You just got to watch for that, stock up on them. And then the other thing is the oil change centers. They're going to tell you to change your oil every 3,000 miles. I read a Consumer Reports article a long time ago that said, you know, any oil can go 5,000 and most oils can go 7,500 miles. So, you know, you don't have to buy into that 3 months or 3,000 miles. I think that's a little bit of a farce. If you were to look at owner's manuals from cars dating back 60s, 70s, and 80s, you'd see that they were recommending, you know, 9, 10, 12,000 miles between oil changes. So oil hasn't changed except gotten better with the chemicals. So I don't understand why all of a sudden they're saying it only lasts 3,000 miles or 3 months. But that's just my opinion. I think you're safe at 5 to 7. And that's it for now.